Recently, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed discussed his fourth book, The Medemer State, which translates to Synergy or Unity, in an interview. In it, he explores Ethiopia's historical struggles with development and democratic governance, presenting innovative solutions to long-standing issues such as corruption and political instability. The book also highlights the core characteristics and principles of the Medemer approach to leadership, emphasizing unity, inclusivity, and progressive reforms. Furthermore, it reflects on Ethiopia's past challenges, outlines strategies for sustainable growth, and expresses his confidence in steering the nation towards a prosperous future through the Medemer philosophy. Today in our roundup, we'll delve into these topics. I'm your host, Gemachisa Mandida, joined by my colleagues, Getunet Shankute and Zelalem Beltal. Stay tuned with us. Gentlemen, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Well, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed recently gave an interview on his fourth book. Of course, this book discusses what has gone so far in the country politically, socially, and economically. And of course, he mentions a variety of challenges the country has gone through throughout the years and what should be done, and what we will be doing in the future is, the big agenda in the interview. I just would like to ask both of you to give us, some kind of reflection on the main gist of this book. Let me start with Getunet.
Okay, thank you so much, Gamesh. First, so before we delve into your question, it's very imperative to reflect on the genesis of Medemer philosophy as a book, as a philosophy and a thought that has been coined by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. It's very and well known, even before, prior to 2018, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was envisioning and practicing Medemer, which is loosely translated as synergy, throughout his leadership and his role in various government posts. We also recall that in 2016 and 17, we all remember that we had unprecedented anti-government protesters, and also the public were demanding for change because of undemocratic approach, cracking down silenced voice, and also plundering of public and government resources, and many challenges. The Ethiopian public in many parts of the country were demanding for immediate change against the government, at that time the EPRF government. And having to say this, in 2018, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power, and he started to solidify Medemer philosophy as a leading thought and as a leading philosophy to transform the Ethiopian political, economic, and diplomatic fractures for many centuries. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed started to writing the books, and actually since now he has published 4 books. Recently, as we have seen and we watched that on the Fana Media Corporation, the Prime Minister detailed how the book, especially the latest book, is really set for publishing for the Ethiopian public, for the entire readers. And this book is actually articulating how the government is going to be run. It's a philosophical approach, how the economy, the diplomacy, and all entire development would be accelerated under the Medemer State, because it's majorly addresses how government function, how organization function, and also majorly highlights some of the historical fractures and how these fractures lead some of unwanted challenges and poverty, including political polarization and economic poverty. And the book outlines those challenges and problems, and also solutions, Gamachis, I would say, on this issue.
Zelalem, do you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you very much, Gamach. So, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, has written and published a new book titled The Medemer State. Since he came to power in 2018, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed has been writing different books. His first book, as Kitnet well articulated, with the Medemer, and then his second book titled The Medemer Journey, and in the third place he has written a book titled The Medemer Generation, and his fourth book, his latest and his newest book, is the Medemer State. So all of his books centered and focused on the idea of Medemer, and I think it's pretty much important to stay on the idea and the philosophy of Medemer. So Medemer can roughly be translated into English as synergy or coming together. His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed said that Ethiopia's multiple problems, complex problems, historical, social, economic and political problems can best be tackled and approached through the idea of Medemer. His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed has investigated and identified the problems of Ethiopia. All governments of Ethiopia tried to bring about development and democracy, but they failed to bring the desired level of democracy and development. And the problem was, those governments tried to implement and tried to practice the kind of governance that didn't fit with Ethiopia's context, with Ethiopia's values, with Ethiopia's beliefs. His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed said that those ideologies which were imported from the foreign countries, imported from the West or the East, didn't fit into Ethiopia's reality. That's why they failed to bring about the development and the democracy which Ethiopians were starved of. So His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed suggested Ethiopia and the rest of African countries to come up with indigenous ideas, to come up with homegrown ideas, to see the problems and the solutions of development and good governance and democracy from the lens of homegrown idea and indigenous concepts. And through that guidelines, through that principle, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed has come up with the Medemer thought. He believes that the Medemer thought can solve, can overcome age-old problems of Ethiopia. And of course, I will be back with the details of his fourth book, The Medemer State, later in the show.
Yeah, by the way, this Medemer State book, okay, the Medemer State book, has interesting features in it, we can say, because if you remember back in the years when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came up with the first of this book, Medemer, people had, some kind of confusion, and people would say, this is, very difficult to deal with, especially to implement. The ideals were considered to be very difficult to grasp and to implement, in practical situations. But now, having gone through, the first three books and then adding this fourth one, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, of course, we can say has managed to tell us what we mean by the ideology or the philosophy of Medemer. How does it be useful, in daily lives, especially in the political sphere of the country? As Zelalem said right now, this is, something indigenous, okay? Because previously, when we adapt or adopt, ideologies, political ideologies, from elsewhere, it is very likely that, or we can say we have observed that, just they didn't suit us. They didn't suit our situation. But now, this idea or this ideology, the Medemer ideology, originates from, practically the person who really engages in every aspect of life in Ethiopia, who knows, just the people, who knows, the system very well. And we can say he has come up with an easy method, to employ on ground in different aspects of our lives, political, social, economic. And of course, my second question is, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has mentioned a variety of, historical challenges that the country encountered so far. And what specific issues did Prime Minister mention with regard to, just the challenges Ethiopia has encountered, in the years, with specifically different systems, political systems, regimes, administrations. Getting it?
Yeah, exactly. So, as Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, especially in his latest wide-ranging interview with Fana Media Corporation, detailing about his latest book, the Medemer State, Ethiopia had a tremendous political fracture, economical fracture, and cultural fracture, and historically. What he draws comparison about this fracture. For instance, once a time, Ethiopia is the oldest nation which had its own influence in the global civilization, was leading, it was at the global stage among those top civilized nation. And so the process, there was a decay of cultural decay, political decay, economic decay. And that continues, that vicious circle continued even since the latest decade. So he outlined these problems, how the decay, and both in his books and in his interview, the Prime Minister also tried to show the right direction to solve this problem, to come out of these vicious circles. Medemer as a philosophy, of course, it's part and parcel of the Ethiopian body politics. In this time, it's bringing a tangible change for the last 7 years. And it resulted in 4 books that written by the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister underscored that these challenges has to be ended, and the world is go ahead of us, and we are still lagging behind, and we need some areas, especially we need a leapfrogging approach to escape this challenge. The Medemer State had drawn so many comparisons, especially historical fractures in the divisions, and trying to narrow the gap and leapfrogging in a new future and push the nation to become a prosperous nation and the beacon of the African prosperity. And this book actually maybe the first in the history of the nation, especially in Ethiopia, maybe as the Prime Minister also stated, in the level of Africa and African continent, which a government coming with its own philosophy.
Previous regimes have proven that, you know, they don't want institutions from their predecessors. Yeah, they destroy them. The feudal, the monarchy, for example, had, you know, institutions, had established institutions, and then when the Derg regime, you know, just took power, they dismantled, you know, just the institutions. For example, the justice system, the military, and other civil institutions. They have not been appreciated and protected by the then government, by the Derg government. And then the same happened, you know, in the EPRDF, and then, you know, all this has been, you know, a pattern that the country has been entertaining for quite, you know, too long. And we also have this economic decay because as a result of this, mainly 2 factors, you know, the economy has been, you know, badly affected. And of course, we just lag behind the rest of the world. And this thing, you know, needs to be treated very well, is, you know, what the Prime Minister insisted. And Zelalem, when I just come to you, if you might have, you know, something to add to this, I just will give you the chance. Yes.
Yes, of course. So the thing is, we all have watched the interview, the full interview that His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia's interview with Fana Broadcasting Corporation. It was a lengthy interview. We have watched it. So Dr. Abiy Ahmed has shared his views, his perspectives, his insights, in particular the ideas that he entertained in his latest and newest book, his 4th book, The Medemer State. And one of the things that he said was that Ethiopian successive governments, Ethiopia's consecutive governments, be it EPRDF government or the Derg government or before the Derg government, the monarchical system, all Ethiopian governments, the successive Ethiopian governments, when they seize power, they tried to abolish the previous administration, the previous institutions. For instance, when Derg came into power, the Derg wanted to abolish all institutions related with the monarchical system and with the monarchical administration. And in the same way, when EPRDF came to power by removing the Derg regime, the Derg government, EPRDF also did the same. The EPRDF government tried to eliminate all staffs, all institutions related with the Derg government, and that costs the country much. So the Medemer idea and the Medemer ideology and the idea, the belief of His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed is if institutions are important to the country, we need to strengthen them. If some ideas, some projects are started by previous organizations, by previous administrations, the current government needs to strengthen, needs to build up on it. For instance, one of the most important example in this regard could be the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was started by the previous administration, the EPRDF administration. Of course, the idea of building a dam on the Nile was in the minds of Ethiopians long before EPRDF. So what the Medemer government did is to build upon the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam to finalize, to complete the project, which is going to be the largest dam in Africa upon its completion. So the idea of Medemer is like we need to build upon the good things and we need to correct those wrongdoings, those mistakes that were perpetrated in the past. So that was the idea of Medemer. Of course, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed has also come up with the solutions. In his solutions, in his policy approach, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed has brought ABC approach in his fourth book, ABC approach. So A stands for acceleration, B stands for big jump, and C stands for creativity. So when it comes to A, acceleration, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed believes that Ethiopia needs to go forward very fast, needs to bring swift development, swift growth. Ethiopia has abundant potential in many sectors, in agriculture, in industry, in mining, and in many other sectors. Ethiopia has huge potential. So Ethiopia needs to harness those potentials and needs to bring about development and prosperity as quick as possible. That is the idea of Medemer. So the other solution that his fourth book, the Medemer State, brought is the big jump. The big jump. Ethiopia lagged behind development. Ethiopia lagged behind the developed world, the civilized world. So to catch up, to cope up with the developed world, to cope up with the world, Ethiopia needs to leapfrog. He said that in some circumstances, in some scenarios, Ethiopia needs to jump over to cope up with the outside world. For example, he said that Ethiopia demonstrated this approach, this solution, the big jump, in tree planting, for example. He said that over the last few years, Ethiopia has been able to mobilize millions of its citizens to plant 48 billion trees. This is a phenomenal achievement. Ethiopia is about to host the next African Climate Summit after a couple of weeks. Ethiopia is recognized by the international community in the global stage due to its tree planting campaign. That's leapfrog, as His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed said. The other big jump example, as Dr. Abiy Ahmed elaborated, is in artificial intelligence. He said that while some governments in the world are grappling with the implication of artificial intelligence, while they are investigating on artificial intelligence, Ethiopia has designed a policy on artificial intelligence. Ethiopia, of course, established institution for artificial intelligence, dedicated for artificial intelligence. So there are also enormous innovative ideas come out of that institutions. So His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed assured for the audience, for Ethiopian citizens, that Ethiopia will not lag behind artificial intelligence like it did in Industrial Revolution. He said that, for example, in relation with Industrial Revolution, when Industrial Revolution was started some 250 years ago in United Kingdom, Ethiopia didn't heard of that concept, that phrase of Industrial Revolution. Ethiopia has not started to utilize modern agricultural apparatus and tools to modernize its agriculture, to boost its agriculture. So the second solution that His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth book, the Medemer State, brought is the big jump. And finally, there is creativity, ABC approach. A, we said acceleration, and B is big jump, and C is creativity. So Dr. Abiy Ahmed said that creativity is the key tool to escape from poverty and backwardness and to ensure development and desired level of democracy.
Yeah, Zelalem, of course, Prime Minister Abiy mentioned the need for Ethiopia to open to the rest of the world in order for it, to give and take. Yeah. He just exemplified, China and Japan, and these nations, used to be developing nations back in the years, But now look, their status. They are global leaders economically. They are so powerful. And why is that? Well, they just, just changed just the way, just they deal with the rest of the world. They opened up their economies, they attracted investments, and they also managed, to sell what they have to the rest of the world. And as a result, they just could make a difference so huge to allow them, to be globally influential. So Prime Minister Abiy, said Ethiopia needs to follow, just the same path.
Yeah.
And if we do this, of course, we can make, this Medemer principle or Medemer philosophy, call it ideology, something so practical. Yeah. Zelalem, let me come to you. Well, this book, the Medemer State book, has, of course, added a lot of things, even though it has, similarities to the previous ones. Yeah. And what makes it, unique? What makes it different?
The first is in its inclusiveness. The Medemer State is very much inclusive. Ethiopia is a country of diversity, lots of language, lots of ethnicity, and other socio-economic and political backgrounds. So despite these differences, all Ethiopians citizens need to participate in the affairs of the country, in state building, in nation building. So the Medemer State is inclusive. So this makes it different. For instance, the previous administration in the time of EPRDF, for example, 4 regions of Ethiopia, like Afar region, Somalia region, some Benshangul region, and Gambela region as well. These 4 regions, were not at the front and center of politics. They were considered as subordinates.
You, of course, remind me a very important point.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Abiy has mentioned repeatedly that development endeavors have become much better than ever because of the inclusion of these once marginalized, political parties. Yeah, he just mentioned, some of them. For example, the political parties in Somali, Afar, and others were kind of, pushed away in the previous regimes. But now the current administration, has brought them, to the center, of the politics in the country.
Yeah.
And as a result, just they feel, part of the system, the political system.
That's very much essential.
That has
for
encouraged, that has encouraged them to play their peculiar roles in development, in economic and social aspects in the country.
Yeah. Well, that kind of inclusiveness. That does not only foster unity, it also expand the capacity of the state. By including those regions into the front and center of politics. So inclusiveness is one characteristic that differs the Medemer State from other governments.
Yeah. Finally, Prime Minister Abiy expressed, his confidence in his government's ability to solve Ethiopia's challenges and lead the country toward prosperity. This is, what he said. He said, the government has identified the challenges and it has gone through reviewing, just the prospect of anything that has happened in the country, politically, economically, and socially, and gaps have been identified. And based on the situation, the government has devised, tools, strategies, to implement so that, these strategies will take us to the destination we seek. And this was, emphasized by the Prime Minister, and he is so much optimist.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid time limits us here. And thank you very much for your contribution in this particular program.
Thank you.
Viewers, thank you very much for watching us, and today's edition ends right here. Next time we'll come up with new ones. Until then, goodbye.